I, took a leap of faith to split my content up. So if you think you're out there, you're a creative business owner, entrepreneur, and you think you don't have a boss, trust me, you do. Just because you've built something before does not mean you can't start fresh and build again. The one way for your dream to not come true is to give up now. I remember encouraging myself in that moment, as with tears falling down my eyes. I was like, I know it's gonna work out. I know it will. You know, when you've kind of seen the final destination, or you've seen the full vision of this thing that you're trying to build. And I think that is so important. You need that. Like, what is the vision for this thing that I'm doing? What wakes me up in the morning? What am I pursuing? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel once again, and in today's video we're going to be having a lovely chit chat. I've really been thinking, guys, like, since Chit Chat with Mo has moved on and is now like a firm segment on the MoChunks show, I've been thinking, okay, now that I'm on my personal channel and I still want to have these heart-to-heart chat with you guys, what can I call it? So I've been stopped between still leaving it as Chit Chat with Mo, but just adding in the graphics off-air edition. So that means it's like the non-show version of Chit Chat with Mo. Or like something that keeps ringing in my head is, can I be honest? I keep hearing that, and sometimes I feel like that's how God communicates some of my creativity to me. When I keep hearing an idea that's been repeated, it might be, can I be honest? That we might call this. You guys let me know what you think as well. I think I am leaning more towards can I be honest, because there's already another show online called the Off Air Show, and I really love that Off Air Gang. If you're part of Off Air Gang, signify by raising your hands in the comment section. So I'm thinking I don't want to add Off Air edition to Chit Chat with Mo. I don't want to plagiarize another person's content, so it might be can I be honest? But you guys let me know in the comment section down below anyway. In this video, I'm going to be talking about, the power of starting over and building again. And that's something that's been on my heart for the last 2-3 weeks. I was really thinking, okay, in these conversations, I always try to think, okay, what am I going through right now? What lessons am I learning right now that I would like to share with you guys? And currently, that's something that I'm learning, the power of starting over again. Due to something that I'm sure you're all aware of by now, I, took a leap of faith, and I would like to call it a leap of faith. To some of you, it may be nothing, but to me, it was a huge deal to split my content up, to split my channel into two for now, whilst we build and focus, and maybe later on down the line, bring back, my productions. But I decided to split my channel into two in terms of keeping this platform as my personal creative space and then moving my talk show over to its own space. And that was a huge leap of faith for me because, I had so many questions. How were my audience going to react? And, a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs and business owners think they are their own boss and they don't have bosses. But actually, whoever you were trying to sell or market your product to, and we're not exactly saying that content is something we are selling to you, but this is something we put out. You watch our content, we make money from views, ad revenue, that kind of thing. So in this instance, you guys are my bosses in terms of my subscribers, my viewers, and then if I'm doing brand work, brand owners also become my bosses as well. So if you think you're out there, you're a creative business owner, entrepreneur, and you think you don't have a boss, trust me, you do. So I was thinking, how are my audience, aka my bosses, going to react? How are they going to react to a change from a routine that they're so used to, especially for those who have kind of started off the journey with me, and also those that have kind of come halfway or maybe just at different points and gotten used to what was on this platform before. And I really struggled with the idea of some people not liking me making that pivot and moving my show to another platform, I also was concerned that as I move more into creating more personal content and making this my more personal creative space, I wondered if some people might not be as interested. So I had a lot of questions in my mind that I was really like thinking of as I was, thinking of moving my talk show to its own space. And as it's been happening, what's been resonating with me is, well, there's really a power in having the bravery to start again and having the bravery to build again. And I remember that bar came to me when we were doing a live stream, that just because you've built something before does not mean you can't start afresh and build again. And it's the again part of it that sometimes we get scared of, or sometimes we don't want to go through the whole hassle of setting new foundations and setting new routines and creating new strategies, and we just don't want to go through that hassle all over again. Like, we've been through this. We've been through getting our first 100 subscribers. We've been through getting our first 500 subscribers. We've been through getting our first 1,000 views. We've been through trying to get consistent views. We've been through trying to reach out and get our first brand deal. We've been through this, Mo. Why would you want to start all over again, especially if your initial journey wasn't as smooth, or it's taken a really long time to kind of get to know who you are, get to know your voice on your previous platform or on your current platform, because it's still my platform, this current channel that you're looking at. I really, my journey on YouTube has been one that's been kind of, I would say, up and down, because I've really been trying to figure out who I am. Like, I would say that's the main reason. I had all these ideas and visions, and I was really trying to execute all of them. That's one thing about me. I'm an action person. I like to execute. I'll write down a ton of ideas, but trust me, I am doing them as they go, as they come, and as I'm opportuned to. So I'm someone that likes to execute, and on this platform, I'd executed the side of me that loves to create content. I'd executed the side of me that loves to present. I'd executed the side of me that loves to produce content. I've executed those things and seen how hard it was to kind of build this platform from the ground up, and also to get my audience on board with all the various different things that I was flowing in. So with that experience in mind, now starting again, a part of me was like, why would you put yourself through that stress? Why don't you just stick to what you know? Why don't you just keep your show on here and, build it and grow it and da-da-da-da-da. But then I realized, as I mentioned in like my intro video, I realized that these things had kind of outgrown each other and they really needed their own space to get to the next level. And that was it for me. That was the key for me. If you are like a creator on YouTube, on TikTok, whatever, you will probably have noticed that the more streamlined you can make your content, so in a sense of the more niche down you can get things, I think it's even easier, number one, for you as a creative to flow, because you know your department, you know where you're going, you know what you need to create, you know what themes you need to work with, you know your pillars. Like, I saw a really cool tweet recently and I didn't really understand, sometimes you're doing something but you don't know what it's called. So I think the lady was describing, like, she had blown on TikTok and she now helps other creators like create strategies to grow their own platforms as well. And what she said was that for her, she has one niche, and in that case it was fitness. And then she has her 3 pillars underneath fitness. I think she said workouts. She shows people how to work out, so meal plans and something else, maybe like wellness or something like that. So she has her thing that she did, and because she was able to identify her niche and then her pillars, she was able to then consistently create content within those areas. So it helps you yourself as a creative, so okay, this is what I'm creating on this platform. And then it also helps your growth in terms of your audience and people that are interested in the kind of stuff that you create. So sometimes as a creative, when you're trying to do too much on the same platform, which is what I believe I was doing. You okay?
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. It's okay, baby. it makes people identify quicker, okay, what is it that you create? So for example, when I think of someone like Chiziduru, I think natural hair. Yes, she has other things that she dabbles in, like she might show us like her latest fashion. She might have chit chat videos on her platform, but we know she does hair. Someone like, Shirley B, he was like the OG of YouTube, and I still reference some of these OGs because they were the ones that inspired the likes of us and our generation of content creators to get on these spaces and create content. Someone like Shirley B, I think of her and I think fashion. So in that sense, like, I know that people might think of me and say, okay, she does a show, she does content, and she produces shows sometimes, but I wanted like my audience to find me easier, like in terms of my community. Like, I really searched on the internet how many people are in the world. Oh, the light is coming in too much. Just wait for it to go down. There we go. I really Googled how many people are in the world, and I think it was like 6 point something billion. And I really was like, God, I really want these people to find me. Like, out of them, there must be like 1 million that are interested in the MoChunks show. There must be like another million or another billion that are interested in Mo as an individual and the things that she's interested in. And there might be another billion or 1 million that are interested in, some of the things I produce, such as Love Quiz, Why Do We Love Love, The Hub, and want to go to more of like a online TV network. They're more interested in that kind of stuff. So like, I wanted them to find me easier, and that's what I mean by I really believed these things started to outgrow each other, as in being on the same platform. I just had to get to a place where I was brave enough to build again, in a sense of I'd built this platform. I'd built them cohesively and together. Now it was time to grow them individually as well. As I'm speaking, it kind of reminds me of like watching this amazing show called This Is Us, and finished it now, and oof, that series, I feel like I need to do a whole video about all the feels that This Is Us took me through. Like, an amazing series. That show kind of depicts the life of 3 siblings, right? And they at one point were together, they lived together, they had a shared living experience. And then as adults, they also had their independent lives, although there was still some interdependence in terms of they were still interconnected. But it was like, as children, they stayed within their family unit and they did things together, and, there was enough room for them. As they got older, they had their own families, they had their own ventures, they had things that they wanted to do with their own individual lives, and so they moved on to different spaces. And even beyond This Is Us, isn't that the story of many siblings who have grown up together and now it's time to grow up on their own as an individual, as an adult? And I think, it would be chaos if all those different families and personalities remained under the same roof. Like, they're just too big for one another. They need their own space to thrive. And sometimes actually, if individuals who it is time for them to move on and grow even further, sometimes they stunt their own growth by remaining under the original roof that they were brought up in. And, that was my dilemma. As I was saying, I feel like these 3 parts of me were like my children, and it was like, okay, I think it's time to go forth and do your thing. And the thing about building again or starting over is sometimes, like, yes, whilst I recognize that there is a huge power in a sense of growth can happen, I also believe that it comes with a lot of pain. Like I describe a lot of the time why we don't want to start over is because we know the process. We know that there is a lot of building and grinding. The image that I have in my head is like, a plot of land and you've got your hoe and you're digging. Let's just wait for that light to go. You've got your hoe and you're digging, and you finish digging the plot of land and everything is good and perfect and now great to build a house on, and you build the house and everything is beautiful. And then someone comes to you and say, okay, this is another plot of land, build again. Start digging again. Start getting your hoe out, and you remember how you sweated and da 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 da. So I actually was kind of battling, should I call this the power of starting over again or the pain of starting over again? I do want to elevate the power more over pain, but I think it is important to resonate that sometimes building again, it's not as easy as it might look. It comes with its own dilemmas and difficulties, sometimes even more than the previous, or sometimes you feel like because you've been through this before, you know exactly the pitfalls, you know the difficulties that you're going to face. And whilst that might be true, each journey is very, very different. I love a lot of imagery. You guys are probably guessing. It reminds me of, a woman, a mother of, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. And she thinks, well, I've been through pregnancy before. I know exactly how this is going to go. And whilst, yes, there might be some commonalities, there will be some unique differences in how your body reacts or how that lady's body reacts this time round. There will be various different factors. Maybe they're more richer this time. Maybe they don't have as much disposable income. The child itself, with their head, is coming into the world as a unique individual. So there's so many different factors and so many nuances that suggest that, yes, because we've been through a similar path, we might have an idea of what's to come. I would say in my personal journey right now, I know some things are easier because I know what to do, if that makes sense. But then each journey, each path has its own unique speed bumps and stones and obstacles and smoothness and ease, and that sometimes catch you unawares and you're not sure again how you now have to figure out again how to handle this and that and this and that. So that's where I would say that the pain of starting over kind of comes in. It's the familiar as well as the unfamiliar, not knowing what you're about to face on the other side can sometimes make you stick to what you know, stay within your comfort zone. But I think to soar, you have to fly. And that sounds so cliche, or aspire to perspire or whatever, but it's like soaring and flying are two different things. Like, you can stay in this same arena, or you can go even further. You can, you can reach for the stars, or you can go even further out to the planets and even universes beyond what you already know. And I feel like that's the power and that's the beauty. There is a great reward, I believe, sometimes when you start over again. And this is not me saying that, yes, if you definitely start over again, you're going to manifest like a brilliant life, or there's going to be definitely great success. Sometimes you start new things and they don't go so well. It's okay to reel it in and be like, okay, I made a mistake there. Let me reevaluate. Let me try something different. Maybe that's not quite the path for me. But you will never know unless you try. It was Steve Harvey that had a quote: if you have this dream and you want to go for it, or you have an idea and you want to try something new, like you want to step outside of your comfort zone, the one way you can say that 100% is going to fail is if you don't try. The one way for your dream to not come true is to give up now. Like, literally just give up now. Then for 100% certain it's not going to happen. But if you actually keep trying, there's still a chance. It's not saying that definitely you're going to be successful, but at least you give yourself a better chance of being successful in that thing as opposed to giving up halfway. Sometimes you just have to encourage yourself. Like, there's a scripture that talks about David encouraged himself in the Lord. And sometimes you have to encourage yourself to start, as well as when you start to face the obstacles within that thing that you're starting over again. Because I remember when I uploaded the first video on the channel, or the first episode of the new season of the show, I felt like no one cared. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is not doing so well. I was crying, and as I was sobbing, there was still a light inside of me. And I have this amazing quality, can be good or bad sometimes, but it's resilience. And I remember encouraging myself in that moment, as with tears falling down my eyes. I was like, I know it's gonna work out. I know it will. When you've kind of seen the final destination, or you've seen the full vision of this thing that you're trying to build. And I think that is so important. You need that. Like, what is the vision for this thing that I'm doing? What wakes me up in the morning? What am I pursuing? A lot of us need to ask ourselves that question, like, what will make this all worth it? The tears, the pain, the tiredness, the late nights, the struggles, even the glitz and the glamour and the nice things. What will make this all worth it? You need to have that final picture in your head. Otherwise, sometimes in those moments, that's when you're like, there's no point. But in my head, I was like, there is a point, because I see that full picture. And I said to myself, I know it's going to work out. I just kept repeating it. I said, I know it's going to work out. I know it's going to work out. And, I just said to myself, so long as I just keep, uploading the content, the audience will come. And sometimes that's all you need. You just need to keep showing up. Like, just show up. Like, just try. Just show up. And even on the live stream that we did, I also, referenced Tyler Perry and how, his first few plays, like, no one showed up. But look at him today. And I know he gets criticized about his various different stories and, some of the things that he depicts, but no one can argue that he's successful now in playwriting and storytelling. And had he given up at that point, had he stopped showing up, like, just like Steve Harvey said, that was a sure way for his dreams never to come true. So in that moment, I was reminded, just keep going, just keep whatever it is. If it's a business you're about to start, just keep selling that thing. Keep advertising like you have 1 million followers, like you have 1 million subscribers, like you have 1 million customers. Like, and one day, if it's meant to be, like, that's another thing. Like, I think sometimes we try to do like manifesting and we try to pray things into existence, sometimes that are not in alignment with God's will for us. I know all of you watching might not believe in God, but just things that are not in alignment for us and we're trying to force them into existence. I think there's one part where we do the work, but then there's another part where there's time and chance that happens to us. It's even in the Bible, like, the race is not for the swift, nor for, I think, the wisest, but time and chance happens to them all. And I always find that so profound that it makes me pray sometimes that I'm like, God, may time and chance favor me. Like, you can work hard. And it's like, if you look around the world today, you will see some hard workers that are not successful or that haven't moved to where they want to be. So it's not just working hard. Sometimes it's time and chance, it's favor and everything, but at least do your parts. The bits that you can control. You showing up, you doing the work, you having an excellent spirit, you being consistent, you encouraging yourself, you making sure your attitude is right, you making sure your character is right, you do your parts. And then time and chance and God's plan and favor and alignment can do their thing. You just focus on the factors that you can control and be consistent with that. I had in my head as well, it was kind of like I was having a conversation with myself or with somebody else. And, I kind of imagined like a scene where someone is like in tears and they're crying and they're like, where do I start? And my response to them is, from the beginning. And sometimes I think we get so stuck, like, where do I start? Start from the beginning. Just take that first step and the rest of the stairs will show up. Just take that first step. You just start and it will begin to make sense. Like, right now, beyond starting a new channel, I started a new job role that I feel like it's more aligned for me. Although it's a temporary role and I will be looking for something more permanent, I'm figuring it out. It's like, I struggled in the beginning. I struggled to manage both channels, but from showing up and like doing the work, I began to figure out strategy. So when you're first starting, you will have your strategy in place, and then there's the reality of how that strategy begins to play out. And then you might sometimes, like in my case, need to re-strategize. And lo and behold, like as I've been taking those steps, I've found more ease because I'm figuring out, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Let me try it like this. Let me try it like that. What is my content? In my case, what is my content strategy? In your case, it might be, what is your business strategy? What is your dream strategy? Like, what is that thing? Are you going to use your 9 to 5 to leverage your creative ventures? For example, are you going to start looking to hire a team and delegate so that you don't have to be present in your business all the time? So you actually go from self-employed to business owner. Are you going to set aside X amount of days so you can dedicate time and effort to the things that you want to achieve? So strategy and re-strategizing, I've noticed has been happening, has become easier as I've been taking those steps. So sometimes it does look very, very confusing, but it's like as you go. Sometimes you figure it out as you go. Yes, have a strategy in mind as you're starting afresh, starting over, or even starting for the first time. I know this video is talking about starting over again. I think this might be your first fresh start at something. Beginnings are still new beginnings as well. So whatever it is, know that there might be instances where you might need to re-strategize, but sometimes that becomes clearer, or you receive more clarity as you go, which is where I'm really getting to. Like, I'm really at peace in terms of my current ventures, and who knows, it might change in the future, but I feel like I know myself better now. They do say your frontal lobe fully develops at 25, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe that was the switch that happened in me over the last 2 years or so in terms of understanding where I want to go with this thing. I'm more confident about who I am now, and it's showing in the way I'm approaching things, and it's showing in the way I'm building and building again, and it's showing in the way I'm strategizing and re-strategizing. So I hope that you guys can pick something from that, in a sense of anything that you want to start or start over again, that it's not as scary as it seems. I'm really at peace, I'm at ease, I'm getting into strides. You know, when you're getting into a good routine with whatever, it's the new, and the new is now starting to be familiar. Ooh. When the new starts to be familiar, when the new starts to feel like home, that's a beautiful place to be. And then once you've built that, you build again, and that is life. Like, it's a continuous cycle of set new foundations, raise the building, maintain that building, and then build again. So even now that you're building, you will still build again. And you need to get comfortable with that in terms of talking to myself, but I could be talking to somebody out there as well. And I wanted to add as well, guys, sometimes it's not just you giving yourself negative self-talk. Sometimes it's the people around you as well that really love you and they want you to do well. They would advise you with your safety in mind, from a genuine place. They want you to do well. They want to keep you comfortable. If this is working, why change it, and why risk, the potential pain of failing in something new? But you always have to remember, you can reinvent yourself as many times as you need, guys. Life is too short to keep yourself boxed when you yourself deep down there is more, or there are more infinite possibilities to this thing that God has deposited within you, or these dreams and visions that are within you. Don't feel boxed by either yourself or by other people around you who do want the best for you. It's never too late to start something new. It's never too late to start over. You're never too far gone to press pause and restart, or pause and add, or pause and subtract, or pause and just reinvent things in yourself as many times as you need. One life too short to remain in a box. Pivot and thrive. And so, just to round off, Guys, can I be honest? Starting over again isn't always the easiest thing, but there is a real power in showing up, and if it's in alignment with God's will for your life or the things that you're meant to do, it will work out, and then you're going to see the real power of starting over again. And that's all I really have for you guys today. Do make sure you like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends, comment below on some of the things I spoke about, and subscribe to this channel for more. Until next time guys, peace and love, peace and chunks.